and leadership as the Director of Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, a Center for Study and Research for National Reconstruction. With respect and love, I welcome Sri Sanjayan ji to this function. Sri A. Rajarajan is a distinguished scientist and Director of Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. He was formerly Director of Satish Dhawan Space Center at Sriharikota. I am very happy to welcome Sri A. Rajarajan ji to this function. Dr. C.V. Jayamani, State President of Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, and Sri Ranjit Kumar V, General Convener of the Organizing Committee, are all part of the Organizing Committee. I welcome them to this function. I also take this opportunity to welcome all invited guests and dignitaries in the audience. I gladly welcome each one of you in this fully packed hall to the 5th Parameswaran Memorial Lecture. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Dr. Santosh. May we also formally welcome you to this function, sir.
अब इस स्मृति व्याख्यान कार्यक्रम का शुभारंभ करने का अवसर है। मैं माननीय मंत्री महोदय से सविनय निवेदन करता हूं कि दीप प्रज्वलित करके आप इस कार्यक्रम का शुभारंभ करें। मंच पर उपस्थित सभी गणमान्य व्यक्तियों से भी सविनय निवेदन है, माननीय मंत्री जी के साथ इस कार्यक्रम में शामिल हो जाए।
We have with us the most humble, sincere and dedicated Director of Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, Thiruvananthapuram, Sri R. Sanjayan. Sanjayan ji is not only preserving the legacy of Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram entrusted to him by Sri Parameswaran ji, but is also enriching the Kendra's activities and enhancing its significance with each passing day, driven by deep passion and commitment. Let us now invite Sri Sanjayan ji to deliver his presidential address.
Namaste. Distinguished Chief Guest of this function, the Honorable Union Minister of State, Independent Charge for Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, esteemed dignitaries on the dais, Sri A. Rajarajan, Director, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Dr. C.V. Jayamani, President, Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, Dr. N. Santosh Kumar, General Secretary, Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, respected scholars, invited guests, and other friends. It gives me immense pleasure and honor on behalf of Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, to warmly welcome you all to this significant and intellectually enriching occasion. Today, we have assembled here to commemorate the legacy of a noble soul and visionary intellectual, Dr. P. Parameswaran ji, who dedicated his entire life to the cause of national upliftment. As a young man of 23, having secured a honors degree with a gold medal, P. Parameswaran ji decided to become a pracharak of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh in 1950 and remained so for over 70 years. It is interesting to note that he opted for the pracharakship of the RSS at a time when the first ban on the RSS had just been lifted. And there was widespread vilification against the organization from influential quarters. It clearly demonstrated the young man's courage of conviction. The person like him and the generations that had followed them worked for the upliftment of the Mother India, envisioning a resurgent nation. At that time, it was a distant dream, but today it is no longer so, because the Indian psyche has transformed immensely. There may be several factors that have brought about this positive change, but one of the significant factors is the selfless service of hundreds of karma yogis like Parameswaran ji, who had nurtured self-confidence and national pride among young people across generations. Currently, the RSS completes its 100th year, and next year, 1927-28, we are planning to celebrate the birth centenary of Parameswaran ji as well. Parameswaran ji always envisioned a reformed, organized, and vibrant national life, and hence he focused on the dissemination of teachings of modern spiritual gurus and servants such as Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo, Sri Narayana Guru, Sri Guruji Golwalkar, and Pandit Deenadayal Upadhyaya. He also took special efforts for spreading the message of Bhagavad Gita and the ideals of Ramayana among the new generation. Interestingly, his ideas were enthusiastically received by the people of Kerala. Parameswaran ji was truly an intellectual warrior who countered every false narratives against Bharatheeya culture and society. It is not an exaggeration to state that for almost 4 decades, Parameswaran ji single-handedly took the initiative to equip society to preserve and promote nationalist ideals in Kerala by defending all anti-India forces, including the supporters of deep state actors. Basically, Parameswaran ji was a man of letters, an orator, scholar, writer, and poet. At the same time, he was a man of action, a real karma yogi. He had been a driving force behind almost all the nationalist social movements in Kerala for the last 70 years. For 2 decades, he was active in politics and held state and national level responsibilities in Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram. Parameswaran ji was an astute institution builder. He had a close association with the Dayal Research Institute in Delhi, Vivekananda Kendra Kanyakumari, the Vivekananda International Foundation, New Delhi. He was also instrumental in establishing the Swadeshi science movement, which later became an all-India organization, Vigyan Bharat. Parameswaran ji always emphasized that action without thought and thought without action are worthless. Therefore, he consistently encouraged the younger generation to study, think, and undertake research. He established the Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram in 1982 as a forum for nationalist thinkers, writers, scholars, academicians, and developed it into a premier institute of study and research. Parameswaran ji was a man of utmost simplicity and an affable personality respected by all sections of society. Parameswaran ji's life and deeds stand as a perennial source of inspiration for all those who aspire to serve the motherland in a meaningful and enlightened manner. His legacy reminds us that true service to the nation is not merely an act, but a lifelong tapasya guided by conviction, character, and compassion. In order to uphold the Parameswaran ji's valued legacy, Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram has been organizing P. Parameswaran ji Memorial Lecture since 2021. It has been envisaged as a platform to discuss the contemporary topics of national importance, engaging distinguished scholars, eminent administrators, and policy makers. First memorial lecture was delivered by former Vice President of India, Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu, and subsequent speakers have included Union Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, Union External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, and former Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar. Today, we are highly privileged by the gracious presence of Dr. Jitendra Singh ji to deliver the 5th P. Parameswaran ji Memorial Lecture, whose dynamic leadership under the guidance of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has significantly strengthened India's scientific ecosystem. Under his stewardship, nation has witnessed transformative strides in space research, biotechnology, earth sciences, and innovation-led governance. Sir, your esteemed presence adds great meaning and inspiration to this august gathering. As India approaches the centenary of independence, the aspiration of becoming a developed nation is no longer a distant dream, but a collective national resolve. Science and technology are not merely instruments of economic growth. They are catalysts for social empowerment, national security, sustainability, and global leadership. It is in that spirit that we deliberate today on the theme Viksit Bharat 2027 Science, Technology, and Future-Ready Innovation for national transformation. In the backdrop of an artificial intelligence-driven emerging world order and changing geopolitics, I hope that today's deliberations will provide us with new information, insights, and connected policy perspectives. With these few words, I once again extend a hearty welcome to distinguished guests and each one of you. Pranams, Vande Mataram.
Thank you, Sri Sanjayanji, for your insightful and thought-provoking address. Sri A. Rajarajan, the vibrant and dynamic director of Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Indian Space Research Organization, is a space technocrat of international repute. With his 40 years of astute professional expertise, he was instrumental in the evolution of ISRO into a techno-managerial conglomerate of global prominence and a pride of every Indian. Let us now request Sri A. Rajarajan to deliver his felicitation.
A very good morning. Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Director of Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, Sri Sanjayan ji, President of Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, Dr. C.V. Jayamani, Dr. N. Santosh Kumar, General Secretary, Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, and all dignitaries, invitees. Once again, a pleasant good morning to you, all of you. It is truly an honor to be part of this memorial lecture dedicated to the revered Padma Bhushan P. Parameswaran ji. Personally, it's very special to me today, as I am a Trivandramite and a lot of influence. I was studying close by, was fortunate to be in close proximity to him, to Parameswaran ji, few times, and some interactions when I started my college days left a deep and lasting impression. Sri Parameswaran ji was a true karma yogi, a profound thinker, and actually a distinguished man of letters. Actually, you can, as Sanjayan ji sir has put already, he devoted his life to the intellectual and cultural resurgence of our country, and especially at our place. The most remarkable quality about him was his calmness, the clarity of thought process, and the depth of knowledge across subjects, any other subject, whichever it is. For him, the nation always came first, and his concept of karma was dedicated to the national development, preserving our culture and renewing tradition through scientific temper. His rare gift of bringing together the modern science and the Indian philosophy. He was one of the first pioneers in looking at this, and which kindled my thought process or my hobby today of looking at the history of what are the technologies that we had in the 8th and 9th and 10th and 11th century, which actually rekindled. And for him, the tradition and technology were never contradictory. Actually, it is so that it complements each other. I personally have noticed that rather than focusing only on some superficial facts, the thought process that he brought in, emphasizing the fundamental principles, understanding the why behind the system, policies and technologies. One of the most important, which at that time started very quietly but striking example, is his revival of the Ramayana recital during the Karkidagam Masam, the monsoon month in Kerala, linked to the seasonal health challenges. and it is so, harmonizing and detoxing our body and harmonizing the tradition with the modern scientific insight so that we also bring our soul to become pure. He laid the foundation for the Bhagavad Gita movement in 2000, promoting its teaching across the state when the environment was not that supportive. Today, everybody has begun embracing the Gita, and we know the seed is sown by him. The Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram hosting of the International Gita Seminar is a very welcome step in this movement. His words still echo in my ears, that what he is put in writing also. Not everyone needs to be a soldier at the border. Dedication and commitment to the work, to the organization that you serve, is equally meaningful and in safeguarding the country. And that's what each one of us we are able to do, serve the organizations to make it our nation to become one of the most developed and powerhouse in the coming days. As someone working in space technology, I can say that these qualities are immensely relevant in our endeavors. For example, the Parameswaran's emphasis on self-reliance, the Atmanirbhar Bharat, has never been just a slogan for us. It has guided us in the indigenous development of many technologies for the launch vehicle and spacecrafts. Today, to talk about all this in detail, we are privileged to have our Honorable Minister Jitendra Singh ji. Recently, he has addressed a wide range of topics, from shaping the biotechnology and genomics to advancing nuclear reforms and accelerating rare earth explorations, guiding India towards the cutting-edge science and technology. He emphasizes that while AI can transform the governance, it can never replace the human integrity, a vision that perfectly reflects Parameswaran's these ideals. As the Minister overseeing the Department of Space, his support and guidance and leadership has been invaluable to us. Sir, your presence here today makes this event truly special. I would like to once again thank Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram and Sri Sanjay ji for giving me this opportunity to be here. Sri Sanjay ji has worked closely with Parameswaran ji and continues to uphold Parameswaran ji's ideals. I have always looked upon to him as mentor and guide. I am confident that with his leadership, the Kendram will reach even greater heights. My compliments to you and the entire team for the wonderful work you have done, and will continue to do so, and I hope it goes to the greater heights. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.
Thank you, sir, for your wise words.
अब दिन के सबसे बहुप्रतीक्षित भाषण का समय आ गया है। 5वीं परमेश्वरन जी स्मृति व्याख्यान माननीय मंत्री डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी द्वारा दिया जाएगा। हमारे परम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के करिश्माई और दूरदर्शी नेतृत्व में डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी विकासशील भारत के लिए कई दिशाओं और आयामों में अनेक गतिविधियों का नेतृत्व कर रहे हैं, ताकि हमारे देश को निवेश और देखने के लिए दुनिया का सर्वश्रेष्ठ गंतव्य बनाया जा सके।
Apart from being a minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh is a popular diabetes specialist of international repute, professor of diabetes and endocrinology, and a noted intellectual and author. He has contributed in over 5,000 published articles in the press. Dr. Singh has authored 5 books, 3 monographs published by Elsevier, and over a dozen chapters in various textbooks of diabetes and medicine.
डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी ने अपने छात्र जीवन से ही सामाजिक और जनसेवा का प्रति समर्पण दिखाया है। उन्होंने समाज की सेवा में स्वयं को पूरी तरह समर्पित करने के लिए चिकित्सा और अंतःस्रावी विज्ञान के प्रोफेसर के रूप में अपनी सरकारी नौकरी से इस्तीफा दे दिया। उन्होंने भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लिए जम्मू कश्मीर के मुख्य प्रवक्ता के रूप में अपने प्रभावशाली प्रदर्शन के माध्यम से जम्मू कश्मीर को राष्ट्रीय मानचित्र पर स्थापित किया। डॉक्टर सिंह जी ने 2008 के अमरनाथ भूमि विवाद आंदोलन में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है और श्री अमरनाथ संघर्ष समिति के कोर कमेटी के सदस्य थे। डॉक्टर सिंह जी क्रमशः 2014, 2019 और 2024 में तत्कालीन जम्मू कश्मीर राज्य के उधमपुर निर्वाचन क्षेत्र से 16वीं, 17वीं और 18वीं लोकसभा के लिए चुना गया।
Dr. Jitendra Singh's ministerial portfolio includes Union Minister of State, independent charge of the Ministry of Science and Technology, Minister of State, independent charge in the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office, Minister of State in the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, Minister of State in the Department of Atomic Energy, Minister of State in the Department of Space. And let us now invite our chief guest to deliver the Parameswaran Memorial Lecture.
आइए हम जोरदार तालियों के साथ हमारे मुख्य अतिथि को 5वें परमेश्वरन
given. Seated on the dais, the President of the Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, Dr. C.V. Jayamani ji, Director of Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, Sri R. Sanjayan ji, General Secretary Bharatheeya Vichara Kendram, Dr. N. Santosh Kumar ji, our colleague in the Department of Space, Dr. A. Rajarajan ji. I can see all the senior people over here, senior office bearers of the Sangh Parivar and the party, senior academicians. At the outset, from the bottom of my heart, I have to profusely thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be here, and therefore my good fortune to get my name linked with the great personality Sri Parameswaran ji. Parameswaran ji was a versatile personality, a social activist, an ideologue, a patriot, a mass leader, a journalist, an author, a thinker, an intellectual. So by participating in an event commemorating his legacy, I am sure under his shadow I will also feel blessed and wiser than before. As was being given in the introduction, it's been my proud fortune that I was linked with the Vichar Parivar since the early years. In fact, my college guardians were also the senior office bearers of Sangh Parivar, and therefore this association has been almost lifelong. And when the Honorable lady was mentioning that I resigned from my job, the truth is that when I was asked to contest an election from a seat which we had never won, and I was a professor, I thought that was the end of it. But honestly speaking, I did not even share this with my family, even with my spouse, because I thought they will all not be able to understand. I quietly went and put in my resignation papers, because I was convinced that those who have led me all these years will take responsibility of me later on also. So with that kind of commitment, some of us have grown up, which can now not be changed. Incidentally, the subject assigned today for this commemorative lecture, Viksit Bharat, Science, Technology, Innovation. It's a strange coincidence, rather I would say providential coincidence, that today also happens to be the National Science Day. When we commemorate the reporting of the Raman effect by Dr. C.V. Raman in 1928, for which he was conferred Nobel Prize 2 years later in 1930. When the organizers were planning this lecture, they had not suggested this date. When I was planning, I also did not have this date in mind. Since all my dates were booked, and I had this in mind, that the code of conduct may be announced anywhere. So I thought my deadline should be 28th of February, which means that on this day, on the National Science Day, to have a commemorative lecture in the memory of Sri P. Parameswaran ji was destined by the Almighty. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk of Viksit Bharat, let's not forget that we are an Asian civilization, a civilization which precedes every other civilization of the world, a civilization that has survived invasions and invaders, a civilization which has survived oppressors and oppressions, a civilization which also survived 200 years of British colonial rule. But when we finally succeeded in gaining independence on the midnight of 14th and 15th August 1947, by then we had been left as a nation wounded, shattered, impoverished by the foreign loot. And though we became a sovereign democracy, the real spirit and the real essence of democracy eluded us for next nearly 7 decades. Because for most of the time, we were ruled by dynastic dispensations by the family rule. It was only in 2014 that for the first time, India could elect a government which was born from the grassroots, and a government which was groomed by the grassroots ethos of India. On the day when Shri Narendra Modi ji was sworn in as the Prime Minister of India, the 26th of May 2014, it was indeed the beginning of a journey from despair to hope, the beginning of a journey from pessimism to optimism. If you recall the kind of despotence that prevailed during UPA 2 times or tenure from 2009 to 2014, you would recall the country was fatigued, weary of scams, scandals, corruption, youth frustration, and suddenly a hope got kindled with the arrival of Narendra Modi. And the hope that got kindled after Modi took over has today matured into a self-confidence. Self-confidence that we can do it. Self-confidence that India can do it. And self-confidence that India has arrived. And that precisely gives us the courage, the conviction and confidence that we would be definitely Viksit Bharat by 2047. India of today, ladies and gentlemen, lives up to global benchmarks. India of today is not the India of yesterday. India today is a global player. India today is no longer a follower. She beckons others to follow her. Just remember the example of television, which America saw in 1950s, and we got to see nearly 20 years later in 1970s. It is no longer so. We are ahead of others. We are also laying down cues, benchmarks for others. Living in an age of evidence and statistics, and observing this lecture on the day of National Science Day, today is an evidence-based era where you talk in the language of evidence and statistics. If you look at the statistics, in 2014, our economy was referred to as fragile 5. We were among fragile 5, which could any time wither away. Today, we are number 4 among the top 4. And very soon, the projection is that we would be number 3 economy of the world. At the same time, we are also the fastest growing economy of the world, which is cited by the international economists, not by us or our analysts. When this government came in 2014, the number of startups in this country was just about 350 or 400. When Prime Minister, in his Independence Day address from the ramparts of Red Fort in 2015 said, "Stand up India, start up India," I vividly recall many people could not understand what it meant. I received a number of phone calls asking me, what does this mean? Do we have to stand up, start up, do what? The very concept was so alien to us, we didn't know what it is. Today, it has become a mass movement. Today, we are more than 2 lakh startups, providing more than 21 lakh jobs, and we are ranked number 3 in the world in the domain of startups. In the Global Innovation Index, which is the universally accepted standing of any nation or any country as far as capabilities of innovation, invention, science and research are concerned, we stood at rank 81 in 2014. Today we have jumped up to rank 38. I am citing you the figures which the world is citing, so there can be no subjectivity to it. In patent filing, we are today number 6 in the world. We have around 110,000 patents filed. But what is more important is that more than 60% of the patents are resident Indians. So nobody can say that Hargobind Khurana went abroad and then he could do it, or Dr. Chandrasekhar went abroad and do it. These 60% boys and girls born up India, educated in India, trained in India, groomed in India, worked in India, and still being recognized internationally. Every year, at the end of the calendar year, they calculated the top 2% or 10% scientists of the world. Going by the calculation, which was done on the 31st of December 2025, among the top 2% of the world scientists, as many as 6,239 are Indians, which means the world's science and innovation today is also being run by Indian brains. We have the number of publications in single 1 year were 2 lakh. We stood at rank 3, and very soon we are going to overcome USA, which now stands at rank 3, and we will be rank 2. Often sometimes the cynics say, what if you have so many publications? Where is the quality of publication, the quality of paper? And therefore, to clear this myth, I want to tell you that every year there is a calculation of the most cited papers when we do research, when we write thesis. And it was found that of all these papers and publications published from India, if you take the first 100 most cited publications or papers quoted across the world, 10% of these belong to India. Why I am saying so is that India has changed and the pace of change is very rapid, but the mind is not changing. We still look at it with the same perspective. In education, from rank 7, we are now rank 3 globally in as far as our PhDs are concerned. Not only this, if you see the figures of last year, India's smartphone export was more than 1 lakh crore. This is a country which has got mobile phone not many years ago and smartphone very recently. We were importing everything. Today we are exporting the smartphone to those smart men who gifted us. So we have proved smarter even in smartness. Electric vehicle concept came from other countries. Today, from India, electric vehicles being exported to more than 100 countries, many of them developed in South India. Similarly, while taking care of the global benchmarks, I think the unique feature of India has been that we have used science, technology, innovation for the welfare of the last man in the last queue, living up to the concept of Antodaya of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya. There are 400 new Ekalvya schools in tribal areas which are teaching all the modern technology and innovation. Our electronic production has gone 6-fold high since 2014, now doing a business of more than rupees 11 lakh crore. In defense, we were always importing. Today, not only we are creating indigenous equipments, but also exporting. Our defense production in 2025 was more than rupees 1.5 lakh crore. You saw Operation Sindhur. You saw the kind of warfare that happened, which was all in the skies and technology. Most of it was done by the two departments with whom I happen to be associated. One, of course, Rajarajan's department, the other Department of Atomic Energy. And the entire technology was indigenous. Some of the eminent scientists, even from the state of Kerala, contributed to the making of those missiles. And therefore, Keralam is now contributing to the defense of India. We had created this indigenous technology, but we could not test it because you cannot test explosives. Fortunately or unfortunately, Pakistan gave us the opportunity, and you saw the test being done on Pakistan soil. And Dr. Ram, who was one of those who behind this, said, even I didn't know they would be so effective. So that is the capability now the world has begun to accept. When I'm talking of the common man, I think one thing very relevant to this state and the neighboring states and all those states on the coastal areas, our fish production has gone up 105 more or higher in last 10 years. Today, our fish production of the last financial year was 200 lakh ton. And this has been possible because very high priority has been given to this sector which was earlier ignored. If you recall, even in this current budget, there is an enabling provision for deep sea fishing, which will generate livelihood, which will raise the socio-economic standard of the fishing folks, and at the same time contribute to the economy of the country. And this has been possible because in the last 10 years, there has been a conscious effort to create an ecosystem which is very wholesome. On one end of this spectrum of ecosystem is the National Education Policy 2020, the NEP 2020. You are no longer making your youngsters or youth prisoners of the subjects that you chose for them. Parents ask their students to choose class 12 medical subjects. They want the boy or the girl to become a doctor. Suppose somehow he or she fails to get us admission in medical school, then what happens? The parent don't want him to continue in that subject. The boy is also not interested. They may talk lofty things, ideals, social service, this, that, but at the back of the mind, the parent thought, boy will become a doctor, a practitioner, make millions, build bungalows, run big cars, all that dream shattered. But what to do? He has to carry on with the same subjects. So BSc in biology, then MSc still narrower, either zoology or botany, then PhD still narrower. So by default and without choice, he has become prisoner of the subject which his parents chose for class 12. Today, that binding has been liberated. You can choose your subjects, you can juggle your subjects. Suppose you don't find the goal for which you chose your subjects. After class 12, you can go to literature, you can go to computers, you can go to engineering. You can mix the two. That is the game changer decision taken by this government. And on the other side, you have number of such schemes which enable you to find means of livelihood outside a government job. For the first time, this government has sought to change the mindset of sarkari naukari or government job, which was incidentally also very much prevalent in the state of Kerala, all the civil servants from here. But now they are realizing many of those who are not going into these services are earning much more through these startups, through these entrepreneurs. And for that, government has been supportive. You have Mudra Yojana, where you can give rupees 20 to 40 lakhs without any interest, without any gratuity. Even parents don't give a child money without any returns. They tell them, if you score marks, if you score rank, we'll gift you a bike, in my times a bicycle. Here, the government is giving them without any condition, so that they can start their own venture. Can you imagine this? And so far, more than rupees 38 lakh crore has been distributed. PM Vishwakarma Yojana, a very thoughtful, imaginative scheme. You enable the youngster to take up the vocation or the traditional vocation of that land, that culture, so that he also keeps the culture alive and makes it as a source of livelihood. For a long while, I also happened to be in charge of East UP. Whenever I went there, you had houses for generations. They had dedicated themselves to the making of pots, carpets. The elderly people would virtually have tears in their eyes, and they would say, this profession of our ancestors is going to end with us. because the boys don't find anything in this. Today, under this scheme, government is providing them loan. Government is providing them tradition. Government is providing them training. And during training, government is providing stipend. So as to encourage them to take up the traditional vocation of their ancestors and thereby also keep the civilization alive. PM Swanidhi Yojana for street vendors. Did you ever think? We all of us have grown up seeing the redi wala, the street vendor, being pushed aside. Anybody comes, abuses him. Why you are sitting in the middle of the road? And the traffic man thinks maybe he will also extract something. This government has looked at them also with extreme sensitivity. And this scheme has provided funding. It gladdens one's heart when you see young girls, young boys on the roadside, even here I was seeing, putting up decorated small outlets which have been provided through this scheme. More than 72 lakh street vendor groups have been benefited. It's no longer a condemned or an abused profession. They have gained dignity and value addition. And realizing that the talent for innovation has to start from the younger age, it was this government which came out with Atal Innovation Mission. And we have today more than 1 crore Atal Tinkering Labs in different schools, and 50,000 more going to be rolled out so that no school is left out in the country. And it is amazing when you see the young boys, young girls from the remotest places coming up with amazing new ideas. When I talk of the ecosystem, there has also been an effort to democratize the opportunities, to democratize the availability and accessibility of information. When we talk of these 2 lakh plus startups, let's not forget, nearly half of these, 1 lakh, come from very small towns, tier 2, tier 3 cities. They don't come from Thiruvananthapuram. They don't come from Chennai. They don't come from Bengaluru. They don't come from Hyderabad. They come from small village folks. And why? Because you have made everything available on this. They don't have to run to bigger cities. If the child has focus, child has aptitude, he can do it. And that has given confidence and an aspirational surge to the youth of India. And out of these 2 lakh startups, for example, almost 35 to 40% are women-led. In class 10, you were given the essay to write women empowerment, women liberation. I think the topic has now lost relevance. You have now to teach men to train themselves to be led by women. Even in the department where he comes from, we have some of the most prestigious projects. Aditya Solar Project, led by Nijar. Chandrayaan 3, second head, Kalpana. And so many other projects. Hundreds of women leading the innovations story of this country. Not only in science, also in civil services. There's a demographic change, and this change has happened because through technology you have made knowledge accessible. In my times, if you had to do a PhD, our guide would say that this book is available in the British Council Library of Madras. It happened to me. I actually happened. I went to British Council Library Madras, which is now known as Chennai. They said, yes, the book is there. It has been taken by the Consulate General in Calcutta. So you wait for 3 months after it comes. It's no longer so now. And by the time it would return, there will be 3 underlinings. One student would have put red line, the other has blue. We didn't have place to put line also. Now everything is there. And that is why you have toppers from small towns. This year also we had all the 3 toppers girls in IAS. And not from Kerala, not from Tamil Nadu, not from Bihar, not from the conventionally academic states, from Haryana, from Delhi, where you didn't have any names in the civil services list. Because now the academics and the knowledge has been made pan-India available. Only last year, in the IAS, we had 11th topper, a girl who graduated BA, just did BA first attempt. And that too from an ordinary degree college in a town which you must have heard during Operation Sindoor, called the district of Punch, the border district, which faced all the brunt of the war. It is just located on the Pakistan border from there. So all this has happened in the last 10 years. And therefore, similarly, conscious attempts have been made to promote innovation. We have technology innovation hubs spread across the country. Special attention has been given to those sections of society which required special householding or hand-holding. In 2019, a new concept of science and technology innovation hubs for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes was started. And among scheduled castes and scheduled tribes also, we are being so methodical that we are trying to select the weakest sections among them, because among them also there are certain sections which are more elite than the others. Similarly, for younger age groups, particularly girls, we started a Vigyan Jyoti scheme from class 9, because I said that is the time which is a formative time. And many a time the parents, by default, lead to misguiding, though they don't mean it, but their exposure is different. So we would do mentorship of young girls. And these programs have become so popular that we elders don't discuss, but the children discuss. I went to a small aspirational district in Rajasthan called Dholpur, which is a far-flung, very small, very sleepy town. Went to government's girls' high school. Usually I try to meet the youngsters for my own learning. And I was amazed. A girl stood up and said, "Sir, I want to compliment you. This is a very good scheme. But I have a complaint." And the complaint is, why scheme starts in class 9? I am class 8, what about me? So see the aspiration, because now every youngster feels that I can do it. Earlier it was not so. They know maybe they have a reach, they have a recommendation, they will do it. And that's why in my earlier remarks I said, now it is the true dawn of democracy that has happened. The definition of democracy is exemplified. The definition of democracy is exemplified through the feelings of a mother. They say democracy is true and absolute when any mother living any part of the country in the poorest house or even without house on the footpath has the courage and confidence to dream that when my child grows up, he too can become a Prime Minister, he too can become a Rashtrapati. So that is the surge. And this India has achieved a global space because of these achievements, which I said in beckoning others to follow. Whether it was Chandrayaan 3 going for the first time to the south pole of moon, whether it was Aditya, whether it is biotechnology, we are already number 3 India Pacific in biomanufacturing. Earlier on you saw any VIP getting a heart attack would go to Houston. So Houston was a place became famous in India because any VIP getting a heart attack would go there for heart bypass. Today, Dr. Bihari is sitting there. His institute is creating devices, valves, which are being exported to other countries from the state of Kerala. So Kerala has become an exporter of heart valves and devices which were earlier being imported from outside. Our patients had to go. So you have become a destination for healthcare and a holistic healthcare because you have the advantage of having a combination of allopathy along with the oriental systems in this state. So these are some of the unique properties. For the first time we have started looking in those areas which were hitherto not looked into. That is adding to our innovation capacities, also adding to our economy. Whether it is the ocean, this is the government which thought of deep ocean mission to explore the metals, minerals, biodiversities lying inside. We are the only country in the world which has an ocean named after it. I was telling a delegation from Australia, I said, your country named Australia, your Australia named island, Australia named continent, but no Australian ocean. I have Indian Ocean. Because my ancestors knew that this ocean is a treasure house of wealth. For the first time we are going to explore, and that is going to add, because when we talk of Viksit Bharat, we have to think, where is the value addition going to come? Value addition will come from these sources which were either not explored or underexplored. Our Himalayas in the hill states, from where we have given the world the concept of purple revolution, lavender perfumes and medicinal products being used all over the world. Now we are in a position to export these. And of course, our space. We never had a dearth of talent. We never had a dearth of knowledge. When Vikram Sarabhai started this space program, earlier from Ahmedabad and then from Thiruvananthapuram, and unfortunately he also passed away in this city itself, went off to sleep and didn't wake up in the morning. If you see some of his archive photographs, there is one photograph which is often not seen or appreciated because we see only what is there on social media. There's a black and white photograph where Sarabhai is carrying some of his goods on the carriage of a bicycle. So meager were the resources. But our human resource was very rich. And for the first time in the last 10 years, we have started supplementing the human resource with the non-human resource. We have opened up all these sectors to the private players because we believe an optimum progress is only possible when all of us join together. Very recently, we have also opened the nuclear sector to private players, which nobody ever imagined. Space is already, our space sector is so old. The first launching happened from Kerala, from here only. But our space economy was almost dismal. Our space startup was single digit. In 10 years, we have gone to $8 billion. And if our projections are right, in next 10 years, we'll go up 4 or 5 times more to $45 billion. And Kerala will be contributing in that. Which in other words means that we had everything, but our priorities were misplaced. What was lacking was that support or that enabling patronage which is expected from the policy makers of the country, which is expected from the government of the country. Today we are following global benchmarks, living up to global parameters. So ladies and gentlemen, I can go on and on, but I believe that we have more of interaction, so it will be good. But at the end, I would just sum up saying that this is indeed one of the best times happening for India. 20 years back, many from here went abroad because they didn't have the facility to do the kind of work they wanted to do. Today, most of them want to come back. And if they are not able to come, the reason is extraneous. Because after 10, 15 years, when you get married there, then your family doesn't let you come back. So I'm telling the youngsters, if you are going abroad to another country for some upskilling, then decide the timeline when to come back. If you stay there for more than a decade, then the other factors will hold you back. But today they have the urge. Only recently I had the privilege of sitting with some of the NRI scientists, diaspora. We have also started a scheme called WebHub, where we provide incentives, facility to those of the scientists, innovators who want to come back. And I found that each one of them wants to come back, each, not a single who doesn't want. Only thing is, like one person told me, I left India in 1980s, I want to come back, stayed here for 6 months, went back, never came. Then on phone he tells me, my problem lies with me. My 2 children have grown up They have not visited India all their life. Even for holiday, they used to go to Europe. So how can I? Now I have to come, I have to leave them behind. But as far as we are concerned now, this is the best time happening, and for the children, the competitive exams have been made affordable, accessible. Opportunities are available at your doorstep. And when we talk of Viksit Bharat, I think this is dedicated to these youngsters who are in the age group of 30s, 20s, because 20, 22 years later, it is these young boys and girls who have been blessed by God with the privilege of hosting the tricolor of 2047. They were destined to do so. And we, the elder generation, has been assigned the responsibility to build capacity in them. जैसे संगठन में कहते हैं कार्यकर्ता निर्माण, तो हमारे हिस्से में वो निर्माण का काम आया है. And I hope and wish that all of us will endeavor to live up to the expectations of creating that kind of next generation, which lives up to the expectations of Viksit Bharat.
Thank you, Manani Jitendra Singh ji, for your enlightening lecture. Now it is time.